The Stolen Bacillus by H.G. Wells. The bacteriologist slipped a glass slide under the microscope. This here is a preparation of the celebrated bacillus of cholera. Not so much to see at all, really, like little streaks in threads of pink, and yet they can multiply and devastate a city. Wonderful! Are they alive? Those have been stained and killed. I wish we could stain and kill every one of them in the universe, really. But as scientists, we have to study them in the active state. Here's a cultivation of it, bottled cholera. Saying this, he held up one of the several tubes to the visibly impressed man. He noticed the man's morbid interest in the contents of the tube, but he was drawn to the man's haggard appearance and his nervous and fitful manner, a refreshing change from a usual scientific worker. He went on. Here is the pestilence imprisoned. Break this little tube in the city water supply and the destruction would spread across the entire city. The disease will infect drinking water, cooked food. He'll poison the very soil and infect 1,000 springs. The pale-faced man nodded. His eyes shone. These anarchists, rascals, said he, are fools, blind fools, to use bombs when this kind of thing is attainable. They were interrupted by a gentle rap at the door. It was Minnie, the bacteriologist's wife. When he returned, the visitor suddenly looked at his watch, muttered a hurried apology, and turned to leave. After he had left, however, the bacteriologist had a disturbing hunch. He looked at his table, quickly patted his pockets, and asked his wife if he had anything in his hand. "Blue ruin!" he cried, slammed the door and bolted down the stairs. Minnie ran to the window. She saw a slender man get into a cab, and a little behind him, her husband was running and gesturing wildly towards him. He was so excited that his slipper came off, but he didn't even notice it. Minnie seized his shoes, went down the stairs and hailed another cab. The anarchist sat crouched in his cab, clutching the little tube in his grip. He was aware of the nature of this dangerous crime, but his joy and pride far exceeded his fear. He has done what no anarchist has ever done before. All he had to do was break the little tube into the water supply and watch as panic and destruction spread across the city. He craned his neck out of the carriage and saw the bacteriologist was barely 50 yards behind. The cab lurched and swayed as it hurried along, and before he could steady himself, he had managed to knock the glass tube against the door and crack it. "Well, I suppose I will have to try it on myself. I'll be the first. A martyr. It is a filthy death, to be sure, but I hope it doesn't hurt as much as they say." However, before he could do anything else, he suddenly had a thought. He noticed that there was a drop of the terrible thing still left in the broken end of the tube. He drank that immediately. At any rate, he would not fail. There was no further need to escape the bacteriologist anymore. He got off the cab in Wellington Street and calmly waited for the bacteriologist. He greeted his pursuer with a defiant laugh. "Vive l'anarchie," he said. "You're too late, my friend. I have already drunk it, and the cholera is aboard." "You have drunk it? An anarchist, I see." He was about to say more, but he checked himself and looked on silently as the anarchist waved him a dramatic farewell and walked off towards Waterloo Street, bumping into the crowd to infect as many as he could. Soon his wife caught up to him, but he was deep in his thought and did not react as she handed him his hat, shoes and overcoat. Minnie felt he was quite mad. Then, suddenly, the bacteriologist laughed. "You see, that man was an anarchist. I showed him the bacteria that I was telling you about. The one that made patches of skin on monkeys turn blue. Like a fool, I boasted to him that it was Asiatic cholera, and he ran away with it, looking to poison London. I'm not sure what might happen, but it did turn the kitten blue, and the 3 puppies, and the sparrow."